Hey, it's Simon.
And this is Martina.
And we're broadcasting out of Kichijoji, our home.
Our home.
We're home. We're back.
Home.
It's taken us a while to get back
Yep.
here. A lot of exploration and self-discovery along the way.
What? Dude, we just got on an airplane and came back home, and we were like, now we're home.
Hey, we got on a bunch of airplanes.
Yeah, we slept in like 7 different beds.
7 different beds.
And we were in 3 different countries.
Yep.
The 4th country we landed in was Japan. And by then we were a hot wreck.
And the point of this talk is snap out of it.
Snap out of it.
We're going to thank RuPaul and Cher for that because it took us a while to snap out of it because we've had a really tough month.
It's been rough.
It's been really, really rough on many fronts, and we really faltered for a while. And
Not only did we fall off our ladder, I couldn't even rebuild a ladder. I was like in this dark pit, putting together my ladder like an IKEA kit with no instructions and in the darkness. And every time I'd build a step, it would just snap underneath me. So we're going to bring you guys up to the point where we tell you how we managed to snap out of it.
Because the whole point of this conversation isn't just to mope and grime. What's the word?
Mope and grime.
Mope and grime.
No, we're mope
it's
and
a new R. Kelly song.
Yep.
The mope and moping.
I don't care if you mope and grime.
So the point that we're trying to get at is we've had a really tough time, but we want to show like what we actually did to try to get out of it.
Yeah. So to begin with, we have been real out of touch with you guys for a while now.
Yep.
I mean, of course, we've been, tweeting and Instagramming a bit and talking on the community tab, but part of who we are and part of our friends are you guys and putting up videos on YouTube. So that might sound lame to some people. Like I feel like if I told my friends that I know from like school, they'd be like, oh, you're internet friends. But to me, like we're a community. I don't consider us like us and you. I consider us a community, and we've been real out of touch with you guys.
For those of you that like actually like create stuff on YouTube, there's like a YouTube there's the YouTube app for watching YouTube videos, and there's also the Creator Studio app that like lets you like see statistics and also lets you see like comments.
Yeah.
And I check the comments like 3 times a day.
Yeah, me too.
Whenever I go to the bathroom, I check comments.
More like 8 times a day because Simon's a poop machine.
I do have a very fast metabolism, but if we don't post videos, then less people talk. And I feel like it was kind of this weird feeling that we were in a position which we couldn't produce videos for a while. And I felt like I had no way to be able to talk to people the way that I'm used to talking. The line of communication that I had was severed unless I was able to post videos. And we couldn't for a while. And for me, that was a really tough part of this past
The thing
month.
is like social media is great for posting online, but the difference is like when you put out a tweet, if we put out a tweet at 2 p.m. in the afternoon in Japan time, right? If you guys see it, that means that you're either awake at a strange hour or you live in like Australia or other parts of the world that are similar to our time zone. But then by the time the next part of the world wakes up, our tweet is gone with everyone else's tweets that you follow. Because I don't think that people just follow one person. They follow a bunch of people. So, you get lost in a tweet. The same way how we don't see your tweets sometimes because by the time we refresh, it's another time of day.
Yeah.
But with YouTube, we're able to post up a video and then I can go to sleep and wake up and scroll all the way to the bottom and start from the scratch. I can start from who was viewing it at what time of night. I can get into the next day. I can move into the next time zone. I can comment back to you guys when you watch videos that are 10 years old.
And I also feel like what we post on YouTube is different than what we post on Instagram and Twitter, because like Twitter is just like, oh, we'll like say something that's on our mind. Instagram is like, oh, we try to share a picture. But YouTube is where we try to create something that makes people happy. Yeah. We try to create something that brings a smile. So I feel like whenever we go to like that crowd, like that audience of commenters, it's such a wholesome environment to be in.
And you raised a really good point there, because I think that when you create a video, we don't just say, what are we going to shoot this week? And like, and we just shoot it. We think it over so insanely.
Right.
And when we do that, we always go, well, do you think this will make people laugh? And then we're like, maybe it'll hit the mark. Maybe they won't find it funny, or like we try to do something that would inspire you guys, to go out and explore, or we think of something that might be like informational. So there's a lot that goes into a video. So the comments that come back are different than just being like, what's up with mosquitoes? Can we all agree to eradicate them? Am I right or am I right? Like, it's kind of like lots of one-liners on Twitter,
And I have this weird thing that I'm not sure if I even like understand how to process yet. It's this, because we haven't posted a video in so long, it makes me feel like I don't know what I'm doing with my life. And,
like
and in this
floating.
world, I don't feel like, I feel very disconnected, and I feel worried. Like, if I come back and post another video, will anybody give a shit? Is it just like, that's it, like the attention's over? And I know a lot of people are like, take as much time as you need, and I really appreciate that. But at the same time, like, for my own sense of like understanding myself, the routines that I have, like for how I interact, not having that makes me feel like, well, this is over and I don't know what to do. We might as well just start being farmers now.
I know. Well,
you know?
well,
like, gotta be a farmer now.
There's a line that I always say, which is from Lord of the Rings, when I forget her name. I think it's like Gathalandra or something. The fairy, the elf queen, and she
Frodo.
No, Frodo hands her the ring, and she touches it, and she's like, instead of a dark ruler, that can be a dark queen, and I will rule all over the world. And then it passes, and she's like, I have passed the test. I will move off into Svankenkanken land, aka Sweden. And I'm like, okay, I feel like having been gone for so long, it's like, forget it. We might as well just retire and start planting cabbages and turnips, and because we
fantasize about living on a farm for a while now. Like, I know that like over the past decade we've been in like very like metropolitan Asian cities, but I think in our retirement we're like, we're just gonna be on a farm and we're gonna have lots of doggies
and we're gonna YouTube the whole thing.
And we're gonna YouTube the whole thing.
We want to have like a big house that we can adopt, and what's it called when you have a dogs that come rescue dog. Well, not even rescue dogs for us, but rescue dogs that might be in like a kill shelter that are, what's it called when you have them in your house and then they get socialized? Fostering. We want to have a big enough property to do that, because when we were in Korea, we did a bit of like fostering because they do have kill shelters, which we didn't really talk about, I realized, but we had a couple puppers come through, that tried to socialize. Spudgy was a good one for that, and we had friends' dogs that came through and stuff, and we want to do that, but we're distracted. We're not supposed to talk about puppies and farming.
Right.
The point we're saying is, I think that the concept of routine, whether if you are a student who has to wake up and go to school, or whether you are a teacher who has to like lesson plan, or you work in a company, or you're a nurse, or even if you're a stay-at-home worker who does something online, whatever you do, having a routine, joining a video game club, being part of a community where you go to church, whatever it is, it's really critical to helping you build a ladder and a platform. And that was, for us, really pulled out from underneath us when we traveled. And it wasn't traveling where we met you guys. Like when we went on fan tours and we're meeting you guys, it's kind of like it's still building. Yeah. Because we're there, we're meeting you guys.
We're able to interact with people.
So it's a combination of like our online routine offline, right? Meeting you guys in person. But when we went on this trip back home again, and I call it a trip and not a vacation, because we've discussed in past podcasts that visiting home can be a lot of like going back and forth to cities. It's a lot of work. It's not just like fun and play. Like when we go back and visit families, like we have to see this person, we have to see that person, we have to jump from place to place. Or you have to stay long enough where you're not interacting the way that
there's
they
no
want
time
you to.
for us to like be able to chill and do things that we want to do, because other family members, like, you have to see me or else.
Especially because our families live in different cities, so that's always a struggle. But and also, my dad's sick, which I've mentioned a couple times before. So it's very emotionally distressing to see your family go through something like that. Like, it's really hard. And if any of you guys have had to watch one of your parents like die very slowly, it's just, I wouldn't wish it upon anybody, and not my dad's disease either. So it emotionally took a big toll on us, and then it took a big toll on Simon to take care of me, because he's trying to support me and keep me from being fragile. And then because, I'm trying to at
the same time, like, Martina's developed a new symptom with her condition.
Oh yeah. Hurrah!
It's not a fun one. It's kind of like this bizarre kind of narcolepsy almost, in which, like, if you push yourself too hard, like, usually throughout the week we schedule days in which you could just like recover. Yeah. Be like, we've worked a lot.
I hate doing, but like, it's like forcible recovery day.
Right. In which you just like stay home and recover. We didn't have any recovery days because we had to go from place to place to place. And some days, like, Martina just shuts down to the point that like you could hear like
Sporgy, no.
She is he about to unload?
This is his favorite spot for peeing. Pass me a pee pad. He's peeing. His diaper's off.
Oh God!
No,
oh shit! I threw it at him. Oh God!
You tell everyone about the symptom. Okay. I will clean up this sopping mess of pee. Spudgy, why do you like this corner now?
Why that corner? We have the pee pad for you right there. Right there.
The audio version.
Okay, so for those of you that you can't hear what's happening, you can't see what's happening if you listen just to the podcast version. But Spudgy just unloaded. Spudgy. Okay, we'll get to Spudgy later. Martina's new symptom is that if she pushes herself too hard, then you could hear her voice kind of start shutting down, and her body becomes a lot more difficult for her to move, in which like walking becomes a very conscious effort. She has to be like, okay, lift my leg, bend my knee, bend my ankle. It's very difficult for her to figure out and to remember how to move. And she almost just like shuts down to the point that she passes out. And I worry, like, is she like still breathing sometimes? There was one time when she had it, and then Memers likes to sleep on our face. And when he went to sleep on her face, I'm like, he's so fat and she can't defend herself anymore because she shut down. He might suffocate her to death. And I had to, like, in the middle of the night, no, just like stiff arm him away. And because we, like, when we were here on this trip, the saddest part was we went to California because it was our friend's wedding. It was a 10-year reunion of people that we met in Korea before we actually started like doing this YouTube thing full time. These are all teachers. They're all in different parts of the world now. There are people in Jordan. There are people in America. There are people in Canada. There's us in Japan. And we all got together for this wedding, and we were able to see each other again for one of our friends' weddings. And the night of the wedding, Martina had a shutdown. In which we couldn't even get to the dance. And Martina was so looking for this. This is supposed to be like the highlight of our trip. And for her to have this kind of shutdown was really, really tough for her, really emotionally draining. Welcome back to the conversation, love.
I'm covered in urine.
You're covered in urine and dog hair.
Good thing.
But like, it's not just a tough physical symptom to handle, it's a tough emotional symptom as well.
Yeah, the weird part about it is that when you have a chronic illness, it can often make you feel older than you are.
Right.
And so I kind of think that, like, I ended up going through a midlife crisis, if you will, at a younger age.
Right.
I'm not midlife by any way. And I shut down in Canada. I also shut down in California.
It was the first time your mom actually saw.
It was the first time my mom saw it because
I don't think your family actually knows how your condition is. Yeah.
Well, because, you know, you don't want it to be worse for your family. Like, my parents are already going through a hard time, and, you know, my sister as well, dealing with my dad's condition. So I didn't want to like tack on additional stress to them and be like, by the way, here's all the problems with me. So I was trying my hardest to be my most chipper self, or the self that they're used to the most, like the person that they grew up with that, you know, was young chipper Martina. And it's not that I'm not chipper now. Ooh, I just burped and it was curry.
Curry burps.
That's what we ate for lunch. It's not that that's not who I am now. It's just that going through a lot of these things, it does change you. You know, like, it does make you have an older perspective on life.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like, it might have been a big deal to trip and fall and cut your knee, but when you dislocate your shoulders all the time, something small like cutting your knee doesn't matter anymore.
Right.
So as we got older and my conditions have gotten worse, you know, other things don't seem as serious to me anymore because I shut down to the point where this is what will happen. I'll be like this, Simon, I think that I'm shutting down.
Yeah.
It goes like, it's a
scary.
struggle.
It almost sounds like she's having a stroke.
A seizure or stroke.
And it's really a terrifying thing to see.
And then I basically feel like I'm a robot that's moving my body along. And I'm sure that at that point I should like be resting and sleeping, but sometimes I can't. Like, I'm out in public. So we're trying to catch these more often. But then how do you explain to people that 6 days during the week when we're visiting, I'm having this great time, we're in the pool, we're swimming, we're hosting, you know, barbecues for our family, we're trying our hardest to be happy ourselves, but Simon at the same time is worried, girl, are you pushing yourself? Are you going to, you know, collapse? So I think that it changes your perspective as to what's important in life and what's not important. And after my shutdown at my friend's wedding, which was just super embarrassing because, you know, I made it to the event. I sat down. I was like at the wedding table with my friend. I ate one bite of food and my whole body was like, nah. And I had to go to the washroom and throw everything up because when I shut down, I can't like digest anything. So I could feel it happening, and we didn't even get to the cake or the dancing. No. And like
the saddest part, oh my gosh, this was straight out of a movie. When Martina finally got back to our hotel, and she was like at the toilet for a bit, and she fell asleep there. She said she just wanted to like stay on the ground for a bit, so I let her stay there. And then eventually was like, okay, let's try to get her back to bed.
I don't remember any of this.
She doesn't remember any of this. I sure as hell do. And when I picked you up, and then like I was like trying to walk you back, it's like you said, it's almost like we're dancing at the wedding now. Holy
I'm
hell!
sorry, Nucky.
Whoa! I know he didn't mean that, but damn, that had a big, like, that was a movie one-liner, kind of like, oh, just get
What's up, salt? It's just that we haven't really gone to any weddings together as a married couple where, like, we went to my sister's wedding, but we had just gotten married at that point, and I was my sister's bridesmaid, so I was running around helping the kids and, like, trying to do jobs. And then we never really went to a wedding again. Like, we went to our friends in Japan and Korea, but they weren't the same as, like, a North American wedding at, like, a golf course with, like, you know, I really wanted to dance with my ducky and not have to like worry about anything, but I didn't make it there. But the next day, all my friends from Bucheon came to my hotel room, and I was like a total just wreck. I had like cried the rest of the night when I finally did wake up from it, because my shutdown means that I just like sleep hardcore, like narcoleptic sleeping. Like you can't. I'll fall asleep on a chair and fall over. Like it's really dangerous. And they came. I just sat there like a big weepy mess. I'm like, I'm sorry, guys. And they're like, that's fine. And they blow dried my hair. And they brushed it for me. And I was like, and we all just chatted about like, we caught up a bit about like what's happening with my body. Because obviously I didn't tell them how extreme it was. And I think it's hard as well to see your friend that way, because for me, and
it's hard to bring up also, like if your friend's like, hey, how are you doing, let me give you a laundry list of my symptoms. That's not like, you know, I know that some people are like, oh, you should be able to open up friends that way, but it's tough to be able to talk about that,
especially when you haven't seen your friends in so long. You don't want to be like, well, here's how crap my body's been doing since you last saw me. So it's a really tough balance, and that really, like, you know, seeing my dad being so sick and seeing the hardship of my family brought me down, and then going to the wedding, really, that made me upset. And then I basically, from then on out, had nonstop diarrhea, which is great. This is a too much sharing kind of family. We share with you guys our symptoms.
And then when we came back home.
No, then we went to Korea.
Yeah.
And I had to do a presentation on stage. Yeah. And I had to, like, the whole time pour sweat going, hope I don't
shit on the stage.
In front of the top 100 YouTube Asian creators. And all of you guys that have Crohn's disease or any other diseases that involve, like, you know, problems with your digestive system, you know this feeling, like IBS. Like, it's such a terrifying feeling. But I did it. I got up there. I made sure that I didn't eat anything that day. I had, like, some liquids. I had some, like, vitamins. But I didn't actually eat anything solid. I nailed my presentation.
You couldn't make it to the after party
and
again.
then I couldn't make it to the after party, and I was devastated.
And then when we came back home, Spudgy has gotten really sick. He's got kidney stones now.
Bucket.
And he's pretty much just crying and barking all night long. So we wake up like 3 times a night now.
Like a newborn baby.
It's like a baby. We didn't want to have a baby. We love sleep. Do you like sleep or babies? We like sleep.
Yeah.
So now when Spudgy is like waking us up all night, we both got really down for
just
this.
Exhausted, because you're not sleeping. You have this like really exhausted trip. You know, you just feel really down in the dumps. And then wait, we're not even done. Then I had to get an MRI done on my shoulder because my shoulder's not healing, which was really hard because MRIs are so scary to do. It's like just I had a panic attack the night before.
Yes, you did.
Right?
Yeah.
Then I went in. Then that week, Simon, like, I went to get my hair washed because Simon knows that I love getting my hair washed at a salon. And it herniated my neck because I have a herniation in my neck, and I double damaged it. And I haven't had such a bad herniation in a long time, to the point where it felt like there were insects crawling underneath my skin. I was like, and I couldn't get rid of the pain. I was scratching like a crazy person. And then I went to physio, and they're like, oh no, you really messed this up. Like, and there's nothing you can do to fix it until the herniation goes back. So I had to get an IV, and I had to get anti-inflammatories. Then I got sick. Of course.
And now I have.
But you know.
So the point is, like, a few days ago is when we finally said,
snap out of it.
We need to snap out of this. Like, we've had such a dark time, and we've just been wallowing in that. And the thing is, we can't solve any of what's happening. What we can do is we could push forward. We could say, like, what we need to do is we need to get back into our routine. Our sense of routine, our sense of like being able to like create, to be able to push through, just to be able to like get back to interacting with our audience. That's what's going to give us strength and happiness. Because if we keep on thinking about how rough things are getting right now, we're not going to get anywhere.
And that's what happened. And I'm not ashamed to talk about that, because it happens to all of us. And I think the important thing is to acknowledge it and to not stay there for too long.
Because I'm also worried that there are like some people that watch our videos and they're like, oh, Simon and Martina are like doing so well with their condition and whatnot, and I can't do the same thing, and like, look at how well, and I don't want other people to beat themselves up for like not being able to handle as well. It's really tough for us too, but you just have to like push through one day, because like we came very close last week being like, let's just give up. Like I really felt like we should just give up.
Because we are so sick and so exhausted and going back and forth to the vet, and Spudgy's crying all the time, and like I'm sick, you're sick, my herniation. It just feels like maybe we can't do this anymore.
Maybe we're just like biting off more than we could chew. But now, over this past week, because we're like, let's try snapping out of it.
Yeah.
Let's try getting back to the coffee shop that we used to go to in the morning, light up coffee. Let's try going for the udon that we go to and seeing the familiar faces that we know.
Yeah.
Let's go to try explore. Even if we're tired and if we're sick, let's push through this and see if we could try. And
like there's a shop that we always wanted to try for curry, and we were like, let's do it today.
Let's just do it today.
We had a list of reasons not to.
Yeah.
We're tired. You're still sick.
I'm still sick.
There's going to be a lineup. It's a holiday today, which means there's going to be a double lineup. And we said, no, we're just going to go do it.
And we feel a lot better now.
Tremendous, yeah.
I feel like if you keep on trying to push forward, it prevents you from thinking too much about what's happening in the past. Because there's a phrase that kind of got stuck in my head. It's like, the question is, have you had a bad day, or have you had just a bad half hour that you've been milking for the whole day? So when I think about like, did we really have a bad month, or did we just have a few bad things that we've been milking for the entire month?
I had a bad month. I'll be honest with you.
But at the same time, like we have had some good things, and we got to try to keep pushing forward with those.
No, I totally agree with you. Like I'm poking a bit because even though you aren't the one that is sick, you do have to experience me being sick. And that's why we mentioned before, like, spouses or partners dealing with someone else who has a chronic pain can be hard, because even if you're not in the pain, you are in the pain by watching it happen.
I mean, it can't be like Martina's like having lots of pain and she's shutting down like, all right, peace out, I'm gonna go with my homies. Like you can't really.
I'm gonna go to Disneyland and ride in the single person line. Dun, 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 dun.
You can't, like, it affects both of us.
And sometimes Simon has to go do things without me because like we have a meeting, and then Simon has to sit there and like be professional, worrying about me all the time. But the point that I'm getting at is that the important thing I found is that, yes, I need to acknowledge that these things happen, and I need to say to myself, could I have done something differently for next time that would make it better? Did I overpush myself? Yes, for sure I did. My friends now know my situation more. We tried this time around to be less busy than we were, which did help. Yeah. We were going to go to New York to visit my friend Jackie before she had a baby, which we said
that extra flight, those two extra flights would have been way too much.
Yeah, because just being in an airplane and going up and down.
Yeah.
Curry burp.
Oh.
Curry burp, curry burp, curry burp. But I look back on it and I said, a lot of things I wouldn't change. Like I'd still choose to go visit. I'd still go try that. I'd still try my hardest to be there for my friend for her wedding, we do have an understanding now that like we can't go to every after party, like as if we go to so many after parties, but like the one after party, I do need to understand that I do have these kind of limits,
right?
But I can't let that day, which happened weeks ago, be my current time period.
Yep.
Right now in the now, yes, I have a cold and I'm in pain for my herniation and I'm getting recovery now using that little TENS zappy patch and stuff and other things, but it is not the wedding. I'm not shutting down at my friend's wedding. I'm not shutting down at my parents' house. It's exactly.
That happened. It's gone. Yeah. There's nothing we could do about
and
that.
No, exactly. And so what I'm trying to say, sorry to interrupt you, Ducky, is that the biggest problem is that I think we take these things that happen and then we put them all in our basket and we say, this is what's happening now. When the reality is it's like, that's done. This is finished. That's over. I'm not saying it didn't suck. I'm not saying it wasn't exhausting. It's happened. But now what am I dealing with? Okay, I'm dealing with a lingering cold and not having a lot of energy and my herniation. And that's it. So I need to, that's the whole snap out of it.
And what are the things that we could do now that can make our lives better?
Yes.
And I think the main thing for us is creating videos.
Yes, getting back into routine.
We are like even though like my voice is a little bit gone, I sound a lot sexy today, don't I? Even though my voice is a little bit gone, I'm going to be happy to like be able to publish this podcast. Yes. We're going to publish a video on our main channel today, and I'm going to be so happy to see people's comments as well. Like
it's going to be the video on the parfait.
These are the things that are going to help us feel better. We got to find the routine, find the things that give us strength, and push forward with those, and not focus too much on the slip ups that we had back then.
And to wrap up this point, because I think we only have about like 5 minutes left before our camera's going to turn off.
Yeah.
As last time you got that problem. But I think that one of the things I've noticed is, do you remember we mentioned a little while ago about our friend Edward who goes to Bakurai?
Yeah.
So he told me that like he was having a really hard time and struggling with lots of different issues in life and stuff. And, he's really happy that he learned the build a ladder thing. And for him, he's coming to Bakurai on like the regular. And to me, this is an example of people getting out there and having a routine, whether it be going to trivia night, whether you're alone or have friends, doesn't matter. If you're part of an online gaming system, like every Friday I play World of Warcraft or whatever it is these young people do nowadays.
Right.
All these things are critical and important.
Yeah.
you don't have to live in Tokyo. You don't have to be in a crazy city because the internet now allows you to kind of go where you want to go. But you do need to have something to keep pulling you through that you can't miss, you know? Like if you're feeling sick, you say, well, every Thursday I sign in online and I go to this chat group and we talk about books, or I write a fan fiction, you know. You've got to be part of something, I think, to help you, keep you going and pushing you through.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, there's our little timer. Our camera's about to shut off.
Yeah.
So that's it for this week's podcast. Next week, we're going to be able to tell you some more fun stories.
We're going to tell you about Piwang, the place that I keep burping and breathing into and going like,
We're going to tell you about the old doggy.
Oh, yeah. We have a lot of stories to tell you.
We have lots of stories to tell you. But like what we wanted to talk about today is getting over the hump, snapping out of it, pushing forward. I hope that you could be with us as we continue to push forward, because we're really happy to be back, guys.
And if you guys have any suggestions in the comment section below, please share it. You know, every time somebody joins our community, I always tell them that this is the greatest, most caring, most nasty community on the internet, and an ironic nasty, if you will. And I love that you guys will also do your own Build a Ladder posts, which help me a lot and helps me snap out of it. I'm not alone in the world. There's other people pulling through and pushing through things, you know?
Yeah.
That's my story.
That's a great story.
Yeah.
All right.
Spudgy, please, I hope your kidney stones pass, buddy.
Like,
he's in so much pain.
Poor guy.
And he loves eating. So it's like, he's like, blah, 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 and then he's like, beep, boop, 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 boop.
All right, let's go get rid of that pee stain.
Yeah, I'm going to go scrub that. Bye, guys. We
ate
missed you.
at P-Wang, and
now
he has a P-Wang.
Oh, his P-Wang hurts.
Yes.
His wing pee. His P-Wang hurt. Okay. All right, we're leaving.
That's a bad joke. All right, see you later.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.